a more cheerful and uplifting track in the next break. So we are ready to get back for our second training. Let me introduce you our second trainer. But first, let me make sure that you're all back. You can open your cameras or give a thumbs up that you are here back. Great, I see people come back step by step. So, let me introduce you our second speaker, District 109 Division H Director Deniz Senelt Kalelioglu is an executive coach, international master trainer, learning and development consultant, and founder of Pro Academy Consulting. She believes in lifelong learning, and she holds a Master of Arts in Cognitive Psychology and is pursuing her Industrial Organizational Psychology PhD degree. She is an active Toastmasters member since 2007 and joined the camaraderie. She is DTM since 2014 and again DTM in Pathways in 2020. She led the foundation of Turkish and multilingual Toastmaster clubs, besides the other including the first club in Istanbul. She served as secretary, sergeant at arms, vice president, club coach, mentor, sponsor, trainer, and received the president's citation from Toastmasters International in 2018. Having been to 90 countries, Denise loves traveling and diversity. But more than all, her daughter, Deniz Senelt, and her Toastmasters fellows. Please welcome on stage Deniz Senelt Kalelioglu for her workshop, Networking Mindset and Voluntary Leadership. Deniz, over to you.
Thank you very much, Panayotis, and thank you, Vasiliki. And it's great to see all of you. I'm freshly out of our COT, and they are continuing in the next door. And I can't wait to share this session with you. First of all, I would like to make you think about what is the relationship of networking and your leadership that you do voluntarily. And I want you to keep this in your mind always while you're listening and participating to this session. We will see many connections. Now, first of all, this will be a very active session. So I will give you 1 minute. The first 30 seconds, I want you to write in the chat 3 things about yourself to introduce yourself to someone. Don't send it. Just write 3 things. It could be 3 attributes, 3 characteristics, whatever comes to your mind. Write it in the chat. Don't send it to anyone. Okay, now in the chat, before you send any message, you see you can choose the person. Look at the list there. Choose one person from the list that you know the least. You might know some of the people more, some of the people less. The less you know, choose that person and send that message, please. So some people will receive more messages, some people will receive less messages. And when you finish sending it, I would like you to look at this photo. This photo is taken from the district conference in 2018, where we were with 2 districts together at that time, just before the division, dividing the districts. So I never knew these people. It was the first coffee break, and I met these people. I don't know anything about them. So we took this picture because I wanted to take a picture to remember it afterwards. It happened to be that one of them is the district's workshop director for that year. that opened me the first floor to give a training in the district level. And even at that time, we were not districted. So I didn't meet this person knowing her. I didn't have the intention of, opening myself a door for presenting in the district and so on. But when I was introducing myself, I was intentional. So I would like this training for you to be moving from intuitive networking to intentional networking, because we are networking intuitively anyways. It is so normal that you introduce yourself to people. We always introduce ourselves and we always have things to say about ourselves. But how intentional are we? Because when you have 30 seconds, what comes to your mind to introduce yourself? So now I would like you to think about 3 things that you would like to introduce yourself, again, more intentionally. And this time, I would like that message that you wrote about yourself, a new message, maybe with new information, or maybe you will use still some of the information that you just wrote, and send those to the people who send you their messages. So if you received more than one, send the same message that you craft for yourself now intentionally to all of them. And if you want to send someone else, still send it also. So you can send as many of them as possible, as you like. So what does, Vasiliki, is there a question or do you mean that you did it?
No, I didn't do it. What?
Okay, if you have a question, you can ask. Yeah.
Have, and it's a difficult one. That's why I called you.
Yes.
How do we turn? I don't know how to turn the intuitive networking to intentional networking.
Yeah, you will be doing it in the end of this session. This is the objective of this session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime, if you have questions, you can ask like Vasiliki did, you can ask right away, or you can ask in the end also. So we have time for questions in the end, but also you can ask right away, no problem. So I hope that you just did, you sent more intentional messages to the people in the chat already, but I would like to explain a little bit more about what does intentional means. Like we can talk about ourselves in many different ways. We have so many things to tell about ourselves, and probably this subject, which is ourselves, is the subject that we know most about. So we can choose different things to tell to different people. So being intentional while networking is, if you are going to a conference, if you're going to a training, if you're going to a business meeting, each of them should have a different agenda for you. Each of them should have some perspective about who might be the people who will be there at that moment in life. What do you expect from your life? What do you want to achieve? If it's a business meeting, what do you want to achieve in your business? Is there something burning that you want to convince your managers? Is there something that you want to convince your fellow members to do a different project that it is in your mind? Like, depending on your situation for that moment, you should be having an agenda. So that means you should be prepared in your mind. You should do your homework when you are thinking of networking, or when you're knowing that you will be networking with new people. So for each situation, you should have different things in your mind. That means you need to have an mindful homework, mindful thinking for, okay, who I want to meet and what do I want from that connection. That's why you should be introducing yourself differently to different people. And we will see more of this during the session. So let's see what would be networking. What is networking for you? Which one of these options do you think networking is? Maybe you can open your, unmute yourself and you can say A or B. Let's hear which one will have more opinions?
E.
Seems like, yes, it's very, very common that we exchange, business cards. So it's kind of networking. But the main concept of networking is actually, it's all of the above, of course, but the main concept is that networking is for creating opportunities, for using opportunities, for recognizing, finding out opportunities. And another main point of it is with like-minded people. And in Toastmasters, we are already within like-minded people. And if you are going to a conference in your related field, you will be again with like-minded people. If you're going to a company meeting, maybe year-end meeting, you will be with like-minded people that you didn't meet maybe yet, some of them, but it will be within some kind of like-minded people. The important thing is you need to have an agenda in your mind. We don't just network out of nothing and then you have more business cards in your hand or more connections in the LinkedIn that just you clicked for a +1 only to have one more connection. You need to be intentional in it. Of course, it's good to have more numbers, but if you cannot use, if your net doesn't work for you, it would not mean anything. Now, for this training that I'm delivering to you, I have an assistant trainer. Is there any one of you who knows who this guy is? Anyone who knows who is this? You can unmute and answer. Oh my God, nobody knows him. He's a very sweet person. Do you recognize where we are? Maybe at the logos on the side? That's an international convention of Toastmasters. And I met the guy there. Seems like a Toastmaster member. No, he's not. He's Kate Farazi. Kate Farazi is one of the main people who owns a research company and who does research on humans and then has books and so on. And networking is one of his fields. And the most importantly, what he says is to reach success, you move one relationship at a time. That means any relationship serves you, helps you to reach success, which is whatever in your mind for you. And out of this, I named my trainings related to networking, Never Walk Alone. He says never eat alone. And I'm really thinking we should never walk alone, especially in voluntary leadership. Because if you are going to a Toastmasters meeting alone in the subway or in the bus, it is a loss of resources. You could just call a friend that you wanted to meet, you wanted to have a coffee, maybe a friend from high school that you didn't meet for a long while and you want to meet together and there's no time because you're busy with business, with family and so on. So why don't you make a phone call and say, okay, I'm going to a Toastmaster meeting or I'm going to a training or anything, wherever you're going. Come over, on the way we talk, and after the meeting we have a coffee and so on. So try to bring people with you for anything. Or if you are somewhere, I see this thing very often in a conference, in the coffee break, people rush out of the room, have their coffee and dive into their own phones because they missed some email. But that's the moment that you need to make connections with the others. Like your emails can wait. Even if it cannot wait, be sure that they can wait. So you need to use that coffee break time to make new connections, to network and so on. So you should never walk alone. You should never eat alone. You should be able to make use of the opportunities because that will be the people who you will achieve things, especially in voluntary leadership, because we are all voluntaries here. And as leaders, we need to know as much people as possible to know what they are capable of and what they can help you with in any part of your Toastmaster journey. For example, if you want to do a project, if you want to do the PR of the organization or anything. If you don't know your members, if you don't know the other members in other divisions, if you don't know the other members in the district, how will you reach out the correct people that can help you like this, that can help your life to make it easier? So we need to be able to use each other. And for this, it's very important that we need to have the mindset and These are the three forms of networking, and we need to do the operational one to run the daily jobs, daily whatever we need to achieve. But now I want you to try to move forward and to focus on strategic networking. Strategic networking is something the visionary leaders do when they don't need it. So it is related to your visions. It is related to future. It is the networking that you do before you need it. So this should be our focus as voluntary leaders. And the key point that with research it's proven that people are hesitant about networking. They don't feel good about networking. Literally, people think networking feels dirty. It's like, ugh, it's like using people. Doesn't feel good. But the first mindset item for networking mindset, we need to learn to love networking. Networking should feel good to you. That's the first step. And how do we do that? How do we start to feeling okay with that? First, we need to see that it's an opportunity for learning. You get to know people. You get to know so that you get to see the opportunities in their lives for them sometimes. And sometimes for your Toastmasters Club. Sometimes for yourself. And when we are doing this, we need to identify common interests. Yeah, Toastmasters is our common interest. Yes, of course. But besides that, what else we have? And the first thing we need to start thinking is thinking about what I can contribute. What do I have to give to that relationship? And among this, the key is the higher purpose. What is your higher purpose so that you can bring to the table? And since many years, my higher purpose is the Toastmasters. That opens me a lot of doors in the corporate world with potential clients. Because if I'm in a conference with other people from other companies, of course, there are a lot of potential clients there for me. I can sell my own trainings. But if I start talking about my company, it feels more dirty to me. It's like, But if I start talking about, the organization called Toastmasters, and you don't have it in your company, but there are corporate clubs, So it's the higher purpose. Everybody likes to talk about something new, something, like this. And then it might open doors for Toastmasters, of course, but for my own business as well later on. And with this, networking starts to be tastier, easier, and more fruitful. So when we look at the main attributes of a good networker, the love of networking in your mind is the first thing. Because if you don't start loving it, it's really hard to pretend that's, doing it. And the second one is the mindset. For the mindset, the first thing is the strategic thinking, as I said, because networking is something you do in your mind first. Then you need to be aware of yourself, aware of your goals, aware of what you want, and then aware of the situation and the other people, like who you want to meet. For example, when you were coming to this COT today, did you have an agenda in your mind? I really want to meet this person. But whenever I attend this kind of online meetings, for example, I look at the participants, and in parallel, I look them up in the LinkedIn and I add them. And when I'm adding them, I don't just add them. I write a message, short message saying, it was nice seeing you in today's COT. Let's keep in touch. If it's even somebody that I really want to continue the relation, I might write, I liked your comment about this. I want to learn more about what you think about that. Or do you have any resource that I can read? Do you have any whatever? So this messages always creates the relationship right away. You need to be proactive. You cannot wait the opportunity to come. You cannot wait that, this person approaches you or you have time to talk more and so on. You need to do something. And it needs to be intentional. Like, why are you adding that person? Just for +1? No. So you need to be clear about your intention. I like the growth I give importance to growth. So I saw you recently opened a new club. So can you give me any tips or whatever? Like, why are you trying to keep the connection? And keeping the connection and following up with the relationship, especially in voluntary leadership. These follow-ups are very, very important to make our net work. You need to ask yourself, are you ready for network? First of all, do you know what do you want? What do you want to achieve? What do you want your impression on the other people be? What do you want the others to know about you? But even more importantly, what do you want them, the other people, do with that knowledge? Now you know that what they want to know about you, but you also need to know what you want them to do with that. So, for example, I always try to ask the person to send me a message about something afterwards. So I'm meeting with people at the break, for example, and we talk shortly about something. And I say, that's a great idea to follow up later on. Let's talk on it. But can you send me a message about that? If they send, that means it's worth my time, worth my efforts to continue on that subject. So I tell them to do something, to send me an email or send me a WhatsApp message or, let's please add me on LinkedIn, kind of. So also it's important that you know what is your next step. What will you do with that? I sometimes take notes on my phone to do whatever I will do about this person. Before, when we have more the business cards, I was writing behind the business cards that write to this person about this, because if I'm meeting many people at that 1 hour, how will I remember everything? So strategic thinking is one of the keys. For the strategies, you need to think strategically and cultivate the relationships. Have mentors, yes, we always know it. Like the first picture is the trainer of a training that I attended and some of the other participants. And I decided that I want the trainer to be my mentor. She didn't know anything about it. And then I continued the relationship, asking things and so on that I will tell more to you later. And she became my mentor. Then we ended up writing a book together. So I had a chapter in the book. And then that relationship ended up with, having video clips and so on. So it opened a lot of doors. We need to have mentors, but we need to know how we will use them also. Like kind of have a map of people, what can we use, who to achieve what. And then get people together. You be the one to bring people together and to initiate some things that we can do together. And then think of what are you passionate about? Like, what do you want to achieve? Now, I would like to give you a moment. Maybe you can write, you can have a list like this, like the goals, the people, the plan. Make a note for yourself right now. Start it at least. Of course, you cannot write too much. But then write the few people that comes to your mind and your goals that will, that you think you can use that relationship. You can ask opinions, you can ask some links, just for 1 minute. Let's reflect on our own life. Make an action plan, relationship action plan.
Denise,
Yes.
shall we do it only for Toastmasters or in general?
It depends what you want to get out of this session. I mean, make sure you do it for Toastmasters anyways, but you can also put your personal issues or business issues in that also.
Yeah, we could apply this because I think I'm starting thinking about it, that I had an event and I didn't, because it was an intuitive networking. I didn't know this thing. And so I missed a lot of opportunities. Thank you so much
But
for doing
seeing it now,
it.
being aware of it now, you will not miss them again.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks to Toastmasters.
Yeah.
So what I recommend is really to have that kind of charts for yourself for anything. Like you can have one chart for you for Toastmasters, you can one chart for you for business. Whatever is in your focus, have charts, the relationship action plan charts, uh, different ones for you. And it's a living document. It's a living material. It doesn't, you don't write it once and, you know, forget about it. It lives with you. You change, you adapt, and so on. Francesca?
Yes, I do understand the goal, people. What about frequency and plan?
Like how would you need to how much do you need to contact them? What would be the frequency to connect with them? If it's a mentor, like how will you use them? Like do you need to meet them every other day or once a month or once a week, or you know, that kind of frequency? And the plan is, what do you need, what would be your plan? And this, actually, I want to give an example. Toastmasters has a very good system for this. The HPL that we have to do in the later levels forces you to recruit people in your HPL team. So you need to add some people in your team to be your HPL guides, and you need to do meetings with them, five meetings all through the whole thing. And in the first one, you need to talk about what you think, you know, out of your mind, just blurry thoughts. The second meeting, you need to have a more strict plan and so on. And those people help you to bring that blurry thoughts into the rest of the project. It is kind of similar. You know, you need to think of who would be those people, in which sense they can help you, because some of them would have the experience that can guide you, and some of them have the connections that you want to reach, maybe some sponsors or some things. Some of them might have other resources. Like you need to think of your goals, where you want to be, and who can help you with, and how they can help you. That's the plan. And what you need to do to get that level, like what are the frequency of doing meetings and, you know, getting that mentoring sessions and so on. Any other question? I hope everybody started it, because if we start, we kind of do it somehow. If we don't start it now, it's might stay not done. So let's move back to the networking mindset. Always remember, if you need to go fast, you can go alone. And sometimes we need that as well. I don't say it's not a good thing. But if you want to go far, we need to go together. That means we always need to have different people with us in different senses. So cooperation should be one of the mindset for our networking mindset. And this networking is not something from this moment to the next moment. So it's a really planting seed. It's a long-term relationship. It's like founding clubs. It never happens like this, and it might not happen in your term, but it will, your seeds will flourish in the next terms. So networking works in the long run. So we need to be ready for that, and we need to be thinking for, you know, for future. In the meantime, you need to ask help, ask advice, ask something, and don't feel bad about asking something. You need to be ready to give to some others. It's not like exchange, you give me, I give you, but you be ready to give all the time. And when you have some reason to ask for help or guidance, ask it. The power of relationships are exponential. So the more people, the better. And maybe you read, there's a research that anybody in the world is connected to you within 6 relationships. So the person you know, and that person knows, and that person knows, the 6th level, you can reach anyone in the world. There's really a research made for that. And as I just said, you need to give to get. It's not like one-on-one, but if you are the one who is giving all the time, you can always get as well. one of the first keys that being proactive, being the one who initiates. So don't wait. Like in this photo, this lady, Cheryl, is one of the accredited speakers of Toastmasters International, amazing trainer. I just knew her on by her name, by her face on the online world, and I was following her on Facebook. And I was going to the city that she is living for another reason. I was training in another conference. And I messaged her. I didn't have her connections. I messaged her on Facebook saying that, no, I'm coming to where you are. Can we have a coffee? And she said, yes. Then she posted this on her Facebook. With that, I reached so many of her followers getting to know me. So my network expanded just because I initiated a relationship with her with no reason. I didn't ask her to do anything for me. I didn't ask her to introduce me to anybody. I didn't ask her to write these things. But I initiated a relationship. I moved on. Didn't wait someone to introduce me. Didn't wait another opportunity like meeting her face to face in Toastmasters Convention or anything. So it worked on. Similarly, you need to approach people before you need something. Like in LinkedIn, people add me, yes. If they send a message when they're adding me or right after, and later on, months after, if they ask me for something, ask me for an advice, ask me to introduce them to something, I look back if they send me any message before. If they ever send me a message like, nice to meet you, I help them more. If they add me months ago and never communicated, and then now they're asking me for something, I'm more like, you know. So you don't need to contact people to ask something. Your mindset should be always in communication with people. Like this is one of the past world presidents of Toastmasters International, and I was going to Taiwan for another conference. I was speaking at another conference, not related to Toastmasters at all. And I messaged him on Facebook, hey, Mr. Past President, I'm coming to your city, can we meet? And I'm doing this conference, whatever. And he said, of course, so we met. Now, I never needed to ask anything from him yet. But if I want him to speak in a conference of my division, I can, because I already cultivated the relationship when I was not needing it. So keep the relationship active, as many people as possible, not with an agenda, just as a mindset, be always working with your network. Show your color, like be recognized, be remembered with who you are. For example, everybody knows that I'm a fan of a sports club. Maybe as foreigners, you might not know this sports club, but you would know, you would be seen that I'm always wearing these colors. I'm putting pictures from this games. I'm even traveling to other countries for their games and so on. So similarly, this is a tangible example, but similarly, everybody knows that I'm Toastmaster. Like when now I have my company since many years, but when I was a training manager of a big company, all the upper management knew about Toastmasters because I was always talking in the coffee corners that with Toastmasters we had this conference, we had this training, and so on, so on. Like it was out of in my business environment, but it was out of my social life examples. So everybody knew with the small talk who I am, what I'm into it, and when I need something extra from the management, I could get that. When I needed to go to a conference, needed to get several days off, they would not be able to say no, really, because that was the main thing that they know, that there is Toastmasters. So you need to keep whatever is in your mind vivid and visible to the others. And you need to offer some value in your small talks. Keep your curiosity and dress up for that. Appear, be active, go to places, meet with different people, because you never know who you will meet. You never know what doors it will open, and you never know how you can use it. So there is no borders. There's no framework. There's nothing like, okay, now I need this, so I need to go and find these kind of people. You are living and you are encountering possibilities, so appear for them. Not just like, oh, I don't have any officer position, so maybe I just wear my t-shirt and jeans and go there. But if you act like you are somebody, maybe you will have more opportunities. So dress up for success before you are looking for something. You start to be seen that you are something. And then another big key for me that I always try to endorse is take pictures and send to the people. Like, especially if they are busy people, if they are, I always tell when I give trainings for big groups, like a couple of hundreds of people, take picture with me and send it to me afterwards. So you would remember who you are. And if you're adding me on LinkedIn, send our picture to me so that I'll have it in LinkedIn. And when 5 years later, when you write to me again, I will see that we have this picture before. And this guy is right now it's an Austrian politician. Before he was a trade commission president. And now I have this picture. Then I added him on LinkedIn and I sent this picture to him. Of course, he started communicating with me because I'm different than all the others. Probably a lot of people is adding him. I never needed to ask anything from him, but if I need to ask something, probably I have more chances that he would give me some more credit. Another one. Who is this guy? Do you know the guy? Anyone who knows can unmute and tell. Who knows the book 1 Minute Manager? He is one of the legends of the training world, one of the gurus, the Ken Blanchard. He has tons of books. And I took a picture with him when he was on stage. I was nobody years ago. And I sent him that email and that picture. Then several years later, we were in the same conference again. I was participant. I was nobody still. He was still Ken Blanchard. Took another picture, sent him. And then we were both speakers in the Association for Talent Development Conference. And I went to him. I reminded myself, and he kind of remembered. Yeah. So now we were both speakers. See, our badges have both the red speaker tag. And then next time when he saw me among all his followers, all the people who came to listen to him, he looked at me and he said, Deniz, how is your PhD going? And everybody turned to me and like, how come, who is this woman that Ken Blanchard knows the name and knows that she is doing PhD and asks her about the PhD? So you never know which door, what can open your doors. And following up is very, very important. Don't leave it to later. Follow up now. I try to send messages on the plane back from these big conferences. Like while I'm waiting my plane at the lounge or in front of the gate, and while I'm in the plane, I wrote the messages to people that I met, and then it's done when the conference is done. So don't leave it to future. You might not have the time for it. The other tip is find reasons. Sometimes it might be ridiculous, but find reasons to use the relationship muscle. The relationship muscle, that you have that if you exercise, it serves you better. What could that be? That's a mug that I got from a company, and then it broke. And I sent this picture to the manager saying that, I was really liking having my morning coffee with the mug I got from your company. Now it's broken. Do you have another one? You know, it's, of course they would not send me another mug. But that's a kind of jokey way that I think of them. They're in my mind to remind myself. So you need to be creative about how you can keep the connection, make the connection vivid and lively and so on. So what can you do? Now I would like to give you 1 more minute to reflect. Think of somebody that you want to reach out, that you have a little connection. What could you do? What could you bring up in a message? You know, celebrating their birthdays or New Year's is very classical. Something else, more specific. Write write a note to yourself. You can write it on your own phone, like a reminder.
Can we share?
You can,
Because if we share, we have, you know.
yeah. You have accountability partners then. That will be good. Let's really give like a minute so that people reflect. Okay, last messages if you want to share. The next tip is coming. Okay, now I would like you to look at this picture. What do you see?
I would never believe it, Denise.
Why?
I think it takes a lot of patience to do your hair like that.
Okay, I really wanted to hear exactly this because it is in Tanzania. And I was giving a training to a group of African managers, of upper level managers. And when I arrived there, it took, you cannot guess how long it might have taken my hair to be done like that.
6
A
hours.
day.
Huh?
A day.
No.
It was more than 5 hours.
Okay,
Oh.
more than
And
five.
sitting at a hairdresser in Tanzania for 5+ hours just for them doing these little braids and doing these things. And because my hair is, of course, not their hair, kind of, it was not working so well. It was not working as easy that they can do it for their hair. But can you imagine the impact of that? They are having an Western trainer coming in, and the Western trainer valued their own culture, spent that time and effort, do her hair like this. So they loved it. The woman loved it, the men loved it, and it created very easily the connection that lasted so long even after that training. So we need to find ways to create commonalities with people. With Toastmasters, it's easy. We already have something in common. And we might be having also more reasons to talk, like we can talk about our DTM or pathways journey with people. We can talk about our ideas for HPL or some things like that. Or we can talk about how we are planning to found a new corporate club or a new community club or what we do with the university students or so on. So we need to find commonalities to create the relationship, to make our relationship more efficient. And it takes efforts. You know, nothing is free. Nothing is effortless. We need to go beyond intuition. Like, this is a social gathering. It was a birthday celebration of a business friend. And I didn't know who will show up. So I didn't know all her friends. But I knew, as she is a high-level C-level manager, probably there will be C-level people even in the birthday. So if I would be just chit-chatting with intuition, I would not know what would come up. But if I think what I would like to achieve out of that, you know, I would keep the connections with those people. So normally, you know, in this kind of events, you enjoy so much and you would not think too much. And it will get dark, then the photos would not be good. So I intentionally asked to, oh guys, let's sit and have a picture before the sun sets into this beautiful view, so we could share it afterwards. Even this is intentional. You know, otherwise people would start drinking, it would get dark, it would be loud, and then we might not have a proper picture like that we can continue the conversation on it. I'm not saying every time the same thing would work. I'm just trying to expand your creativity, expand your thinking, how you can be intentional. Make a mind eye map for yourself. Make mind maps for yourself. Like, who are you? Like, what are you wanting to bring forward? And what is your intention approaching those people? Who will you approach? Why? What do you expect? And how could it serve you in the long run? Now we have time for question and answer. And then I will wrap up with the last part. Any questions? You can just, you know.
Networking will never be the same for me.
I hope so.
After this.
Yes, please, Lizelle.
Firstly, I want to just say this. I'm like feeling all warm inside. Because I'm a big lover of networking as well. And before I met you, not at the day trainathon, I had seen your name everywhere. And I was like, who is this woman who seems to be knowing all of the Toastmasters that I know, but I hadn't done anything about it. And so we met in triathlon, and I'm like, here she is. And I see her live. And so I understand now after this presentation, your love for networking. But what I want to know is, and even our connection, as you've explained, yeah, it made me feel warm as well. And I said, I think I mentioned that to you. All of this knowledge that you know now about networking, where did it start? And how did you, I mean, you talk a lot about doing networking intentionally, right? How did this love start? And how did you acquire the knowledge with all the tips and the tricks that you have?
It's a very good question. Like, how did it start? You know, how did it start? It started because there was no Toastmasters in Istanbul. Like, I met Toastmasters after university. I went to US for a short couple of months to have a life experience about what to bring my mind, like what I want. So I had my backpack and went to New York. Stayed in the living room couches of my mother's friends or friends and whatever. Not in the best conditions and everything. I even needed to sleep on the floor on a sleeping bag and so on. But at that time, I met Toastmasters. I met people from Toastmasters. They introduced me to Toastmasters clubs. I became a member. It was before 2000. And I was in New York just to spend the New Year. You know, it was Y2K. I don't know if you remember all those years. And I loved Toastmasters. I came back to Istanbul and there was no Toastmasters. Like, how come there was no Toastmasters? It was year 2000. And there was nowhere to start. The internet was not like this. The flights was not like this. The headquarters was not this reachable. There was no other clubs around to get help and so on and so on. So I needed the people. I really needed more people. I needed the network. So, and I had nothing to give, but I needed their help. So I needed to develop these abilities to get the help of the people. Little by little, a trial and error, and falling down and getting up again, I started to cultivate my network. And I started to think of, okay, if I would send a picture, then the next time they would remember me. And I tried it, and it worked. So this is number one. Okay. If I introduced me better in this 1 minute, because I had this only 1 minute with this guy, that if I could introduce me with the better words, then I could ask for something. Now I missed that chance. Next time I should think before meeting those people. So all these little things came together.
Yeah.
And of course, when I started to have the connections, it became easier and easier. And when I started achieve things, like we get together with some people and started meetings in Istanbul for half a year, but we couldn't make 20 people pay for it, and we couldn't found the first club. It took years afterwards that someone else, an American guy who married a Turkish woman, came, and so there's no Toastmasters in Istanbul, finally found me. Somebody told him that that was this girl who was trying to found one years ago, and gave my number, and he found me, so we could found the first club in Istanbul. So a lot of things really had to happen that way, otherwise nothing would happen anyways.
Yeah, interesting. Sure,
And
thanks for sharing.
because I saw, you know, how these people are open to help. You know, I said people feel bad about networking, like they feel dirty about networking. But when you feel it's okay, then it will become okay for you. When you see asking for help, like all these past world presidents were helping me over the years. The headquarters were helping me over the years. When you see, when you ask they help, then you can ask easier next time. Then when you see they are happy to do it, it becomes normal or becomes positive to you. So, and then you start paying back. Now anyone can ask me anything, and I really spend my time and efforts for anyone to help anyone, because I lived this. I know how it feels. And then, you know, paying forward, paying back makes everything easier. Anyone else who wants to ask a question? By the way, Lisa, I hope we will meet with you and with all the others face to face in Istanbul in the district conference.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that. Yeah, I'm just as passionate about networking as you. Thank you, Deniz.
Thank you. Any other question? No? No more questions? I'm in yellow, so if you have questions, ask fast. Yes, Francesca.
I like your behavior and the strategy that you use for networking. So I have for you spicy questions. What do you do with the energetic vampires?
That sucks your energy, you mean?
Yes.
I still, you know, even those people, you can use them. You be aware of them, you know them, you classify them for yourself, but then you can still use them. And when you ask something from them for what they can do, you can use their energy, you can use their time, so they don't have the time and energy to use you that much. And even when you say that, they're not bad people. I mean, even some names pops in my mind, and maybe they don't know better, maybe they cannot do better, but if you don't try to get rid of them, you can create some kind of a relation even with them, because they see that you still try to help them, and then when you ask something from them, they need to address that as well, so that it becomes a minimal relationship at least.
And the second question also related to this is what you do if you know that someone is perceiving you as someone that wants to take and not give.
Someone is perceiving you like that. If you are aware that there could be a perception like that, you would try to more obviously give. Like you would probably ask, what can I do for you? Can I support you in some way? And so on. Probably. I don't know. I genuinely try to help anyway. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. Maybe we need to be more open to perceiving better, because I'm not sure if I'm even perceiving that well. Like maybe I should focus more on perceiving how people are perceiving me. I'm not sure actually if it's also important also Like, you do what you believe and you try to do as good as you can. And if once in a while some people perceive differently, what can you do? I don't know. I don't know if there's a correct solution for it. Okay, Konstantina.
Well, I just wanted to add something to it, and apart from everything else, just thank you, because my networking sessions have been enriched by a great deal with all of your advice. I think you mentioned it as well. It comes from the intention of when you go with the intention that you're there for the higher purpose. The phrase you used, I really liked it, and not just what can I gain. Of course, you go strategically into the whole process, but the main idea is, what do I have that, or what network do I bring behind me that can contribute to what all these people need right now? So this is how you create an honest relationship. It's not about going into the relationship with the intent to take, but also with the intent to exchange. If one gives, one doesn't, and doesn't take back, and if it's always give or always take, then there's some imbalance. So then I think that might be a good thing to keep in mind as perception. This is what I would like to add, if I may.
Also, the exchange was a very good word. You know, there needs to be an exchange. The exchange doesn't need to be one-on-one. Like, it doesn't mean you get two, I give two. So it could be in different levels, and you could get from some people, you could give to other people, and so on. But there needs to be a flow. And I think in the networking, the key thing is we are living at this moment with all these people. So we need to make use of our breath, make use of that our living as much as possible, like benefit from everything as much as possible, give as much as possible, get as much as possible. Like, it's a growth mindset, kind of. Like, if we are here, then we should make good use of the every moment, kind of, in exchange with all the other people. So thank you very much. I will not spend time with this because the question and answer part was more valuable, but I urge you to do this exercise today before the midnight. What will you start doing, stop doing, and do differently, and continue doing because you understood that you were doing good from what you learned out of today? You know, at least write one item for each of them, so that what you learned is refreshed in your mind and you go to bed with those things in your mind. And if you can give me feedback with your QR code there, your takeaway from this session, because I still learn from these sessions that I do. I would really like to get your feedback. And if we are not connected yet, you can connect me in LinkedIn using that QR code as well. It's been a pleasure for me to be with you, and ask me anything with emails or in any way. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Your warmest applause for Denise. I completely agree with Vasiliki that we will think differently from now on about networking. I personally learned a lot from this session, and I'm sure all the attendants too. And as you said, networking is also what you do that very moment of where the opportunity arises, but also the follow-up. And I'm sure many people have noted down strategies for next networking opportunities. Thank you a lot. And now we will have our long break.